Qatar, one of the 7 Arab states located in the Gulf region. Per capita income, the second on earth. With a stable economy that works safely around the clock, Qatar was named the most competitive economy in the Middle East and one of the wealthiest countries in the world. But even with all that success, unexpected things can happen.
A rift between Gulf countries is deepening, with Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain and Egypt all severing ties with Qatar.
Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Egypt and the UAE have all cut diplomatic ties with Qatar.
Overnight, several Arab countries decided to completely sever ties with Qatar.
Nations including Egypt, Saudi Arabia and Bahrain have already cancelled all flights to Qatar.
A boycott by 4 countries changed Qatar forever. Egypt, Saudi Arabia, the Emirates and Bahrain have closed all air, sea and land transportation links with Qatar. These 4 countries have suspended the movement of people and goods to hurt Qatar's economy and impede trade and financial flows. Thousands of students inside and out of Qatar will be cut off from their education and will lose all contact with their universities. People with medical conditions will be forced to leave the country. The 2022 World Cup construction and other infrastructure projects will be disrupted by the blockade, since a large proportion of its construction materials come from Gulf region countries through the border with Saudi Arabia. All of a sudden, people living in these countries from each side found themselves in a critical situation. They have to abandon their families, relatives, and businesses and vacate their homes in just 2 weeks without warning. Citizens and residents began to panic. Qatar would lose a great deal because of the boycott. But how was the situation before the blockade? Since the relationships between Qatar and other Gulf countries were in good shape, there was no indication that a disaster was just around the corner. The measures that were taken by the Gulf countries against Qatar could have destroyed its entire infrastructure and economy. As a result of that, the country will be in a critical situation. But how can Qatar overcome the blockade? The long-term policy planning implemented by Qatar for many years and the country's strong international alliances enabled Qatar to overstep the unexpected crisis. With more than $300 billion invested, the Qatar Investment Authority is one of the cornerstones of Qatar's economic and international policy. Hamad International Airport and Hamad Port were both able to provide all the necessary coordination for the country. So most of the logistics and financial problems were solved within a few days, and Qatar turned the crisis into an opportunity to accelerate the reform agenda. As such, a shock to the system was avoided. But the human cost of Qatar's crisis has been astronomical for the entire Gulf region. Families are being torn apart. According to the report from the Human Rights Mission, OHCHR, on the impact of the Gulf crisis on human rights last December, the separation of families across the countries has caused psychological and emotional pressure, with some individuals unable to support and join their families and loved ones. Traditional and social media were widely used to generate an all-encompassing feeling of hostility and hatred toward Qataris. The border closure of air, sea, and land have considerably restricted the freedom of movement to and from Qatar. The right of education for thousands was violated by the expulsion of Qatari students who were ordered to immediately return to their home countries. Although the crisis is unprecedented, there is a hope that family members who have been separated will reunite again soon. Good people still exist on both sides of the border, and there are many promising initiatives to diffuse the tensions, such as the petition to collect signatures to end the sanctions and siege that targeted individuals and families from both sides. We can all help by making the positive change happen. Please follow the link and sign the petition to end the blockade. Let the people of Qatar know that we stand with you.